this thing on? Alright, so I did have a 20-minute video about the artist who got screwed over by women in animation. I'll have to remake that because OBS fucking crashed and I lost it. Even though it's an MKV, they said, yeah, to turn it to MKV, it'll be fine. Nope, lost it. Sorry. Piece of shit. Am I getting a video now? I'm not getting it. No, I am getting the video. The video's there. Okay. Well, this video's there anyways. But the other one that I had wasn't there. God damn it! Ah, shit. Well, wait. No, I don't need all of you seeing my desktop. See, here's the other video. I'll do that. I'll redo that one after I do this one. This one's kind of something I feel has been necessary. So we all know who Zoe Quinn is, right? Yeah, she's a bitch. Not a very nice person. Currently she's working with someone that likes to show... Currently she's writing a comic, and the artist of that comic likes to publicly tweet his asshole. I guess whatever works for you. But something that's always bothered me for as long as I've known about it. She's not a good person. She's not what she says she is. She's actually very scummy. She does a lot of scummy shit. I may be a little biased because I used to date someone like Zoe, but I got receipts. So let's have a read through of Trash Override. I don't know why they put a pony there, but the receipts, they're pretty good. Where am I on my song list? I'm trying to see where I'm at on my song list. Alright. So, Crash Override. How Zoe Quinn exploited vulnerable trans and queer people for fame and profit. What? But she's... No, why would she do that? Abuse, harassment, sexual harassment, suicide, rape. See, I've read this like a few times. I don't remember the rape or the suicide. I mean, it mentioned suicide, but I don't think rape's in it. There's an old saying, if something seems too good to be true, then it probably is. That saying, unfortunately, seems to apply perfectly to the online anti-harassment task force, Crash Override Network. Con. By the way, reblog this if you're on Tumblr. Tweet it if you're on Twitter. Signal boost the shit out of this. I sent Ethan Van Sciver this blog. I don't know if he ever got it. I'll probably send it to Yellow Flash or something. This has to be boosted, alright? Because none of the journalists are going to talk about it. None of the journalists she's fucked are going to talk about it. That would just mean everything they've done has just been a lie. They can't just come out and say, oh yeah, Zoe Quinn's actually bullshit. Sorry. But please believe us. That would just fucking ruin everything for them. So they have to bury this. They don't care if they're actually hurting transgender people or not. They just have to look like they care about transgender people. Former members coming forward to testify and get their stories out there. Stories of being exploited, manipulated, and lied to by Crash Override's co-founders and CEO, Zoe Quinn. There's a lot of background information and lore that could be discussed, but I'll try to keep it as simple as... Much of it is neither here nor there, and the focus is solely on Crash Override Network, how and why it ironically became a tool for abuse. So, this person is actually against Gamergate. However, they're not so much against Gamergate that they'd rather lie about Zoe Quinn in order to be right. Used every dirty trick the dark recesses of the internet had developed. Doxing, swatting, targeted harassment, that can't hacks, death threats, rape threats, or even bomb threats called in. Now, the bomb threats were actually done by Arthur Chu. For them, anyone on the other side of the conflict was fair game and no holds barred. This is actually kind of the same for the Zoe side. The Gamergate was reported in magazines, newspapers, TV programs, and online news sites around the world. Federal Bureau of Investigation even had a Gamergate case filed, although they never made any arrests. Also, they said that Gamergate wasn't a threat. In 2016, a former con member leaked a small amount of logs. That con member, Arthur, no. Oh, that's racist. Oh God, who's the Asian guy now? Oh, well, maybe I can find this. Is it? Oh, Ask Show? So, here's this. Oh, Ian Miles Chong. Yeah. That's what his name was. I'm sorry, Ian. I don't really like you that much. These logs were from a secret chat group that was being used by Quinn and others as a support group, an operations room to organize their battle against Gamergate. Recent revelations by another former con member, who can be seen in the chat logs as Secret Gamer Girl, states that the group was made by people who had gotten involved in Gamergate, and eventually they invited Zoe Quinn, and she took over as leader. Holy shit! Mostly in the form of concerns about security, invited in a number of other people, forgoing the established rule of anonymity, instead going by a simple standard of anyone publicly standing up to Gamergate or talking up how great Quinn was. Oh, that's very Hulk Hogan, Donald Trumpian of you, Zoe. How the public faces of anti-abuse nearly killed a ton of trans people. Okay, that might be a bit hyperbolic, Secret Gamer Girl, but we'll go with that. So you can read this. This is I'm giving you the summary version. This is way more in depth and probably a little hyperbolic. With Zoe Quinn in command, the group became even more dedicated to thwarting the Gamergate supporters, helping the woman they believed was their friend. Scrolling down this list of highlights from the chat logs gives a good sampling of how this group was operating, including doxing, discussions about getting people fired and blacklisted. See, if you're that kind of person, then fuck you. You're not. That's not cool. Organizing attacks on specific people, going after websites they dislike, trying to destroy people, etc. Destroy people! With increased activity came increased paranoia. Oh, good old Paceman. And members of the chat were instructed to ramp up their internet security and needed to get two-factor authentication in order to join the serious chat, where their clandestine attack plans were discussed, and Zoe let her personal demon... Oh, I haven't read this. I kind of want to read about her personal demons. I think all I can do anymore is fight, but it's leaving me empty, and I'm not sure who I am anymore. Even though everything has changed, I will always be fixed in place in at least a large part of the world. Aaron may as well have nailed the Zoe post in the back of my skull. Oh, shut up! Wow, I don't think that's real. Well, it's real, but I don't think she's being sincere. Named in part as a reference to the movie Hackers, Crash Override Network was born out of that chat group and was envisioned by Zoe Quinn to be a small guerrilla group that can actually fucking fight back. Oh, let's see. Let's see this. Where's the highlights? Oh god, these con links are so huge! Whatever. The following excerpt from a chat log dating from January 4th, 2015. Zoe uses the name Dr. Internet PhD. Indeed, that sounds like something awful name. And details the three prongs of what were supposed to be part of Con, a crisis center anonymously staffed almost exclusively by survivors of this kind of thing. Resources and articles to help people with information, security, and the like, and aftercare and support. She also mentioned wanting to get donations for legal fees and relocating people to safe houses while they're being swatted. We were thinking of setting up 501c3 status so we could accept funds from these aforementioned benefactors for legal fees and relocating for people to safe houses while they were being swatted. But oh, I don't like how she types. Danny types like this sometimes, where he uses the enter key as a comma. Ah, it's obnoxious. Maybe we could think about a lobbyist. I mean, stretch goals. The idea is three-pronged. One crisis center for those currently being attacked, staffed almost exclusively by survivors of this kind of thing. All anon except Alex and I, so they can't be targeted. And on to anyone but us, of course. So there's still internal accountability, and it's invite only, and you have to, like, have a skill we can use. Two is prevention. Put out resources on InfoSec and stuff like that. Have a wing of it dedicated to writing pieces and advocacy and shit and whatnot. My brother Donald's gay. 3 is aftercare support and such for survivors. A small guerrilla group that can actually fucking fight back. With Zoe Quinn as the CEO and her at-the-time boyfriend Alex Lifshitz as COO, they're no longer dating. Crash to Override Network was official. I believe Alex. That was a poorly invested relationship. I believe it cost him some money. He lost a lot of money in that relationship. Quinn and the group used their connections to soon become a partner of Twitter's Trust and Safety, and became fiscally sponsored by Feminist Frequency. Depending on your thoughts about Quinn, this either stank to high heaven or was amazing, and that she had been able to not only survive so much abuse, but had started an organization to help others. For the most part, that concept for Con doesn't sound too bad, right? Getting whisked away to a safe house and having a support group on demand for you? If a target is put on your back, it sounds good. A little too good to be true. No fame, no service. According to the extremely thick bunkum, its Wikipedia page, Con is supposed to offer victims of an arsenal of support as well as a unique plan of action for each victim, no matter who you are or what you believe in. This is such a blatant lie, and it is absurd that it is on the Wikipedia. Let's see if it's still on there. Oh, have logged hope would simply go away. That's bullshit. Zoe doesn't want it to go away. She wants to milk it. They promised to help victims regardless of previous affiliations and ideology, including Gamergate. Oh, that didn't happen either. That didn't happen either. I'm not going to be as crass as to say that Crash Override Network did nothing for anyone besides Quinn herself, who got free PR and money from it, as some people out there did get help. However, it's tragically easy to find folks who came to them in their hour of need were either given a cold shoulder or flat out ignored. According to a former Con member, this was 100% intentional, and Con would screen emails and skim them to find anyone who was famous. If you asked Crash to Override for help and all you got back was an email telling you to read their Tumblr, it's because you're not famous enough. Obviously, these tweets aren't around anymore. I don't believe. Let me check. Let's take a look. They were probably removed or swept under the rug. Who knows? Oh. Oh. Let me check. Let's check. No, I'm blocked. Of course I am. Of course I am. Trying to fucking help you. Alright. Crash Override actually dropped the case halfway through because the client got fired and no longer had a platform to sing CO's praise. It's all assumptions. Nope. Who's Steven at War? I don't know who Steven at War is. The same insider recently explained more about how Khan worked and selected victims to help or ignore. Oh, here she is again. Depends on what bad means. Zoe is not a Nazi or a transphobe. Zoe is a grifter that conned mental health patients into free labor. Zoe convinced everyone that Crash Override was a project to stop abuse when actually it was a PR campaign to promote Zoe's name and book. So, you know, if you read my Twitter, you'll be like, hey, you'll see me, whenever Zoe's brought up, I'll be like, oh, did she apologize to all those trans women and compensate them for helping her get her book and making her money, and then, oh no, she still severed all ties with them? Okay. This is what this is in reference to. It was a bait and switch depending on who you are. If you went to Crash Override, you either got the deluxe package or a link to their Tumblr. Journalists and celebrities got live help from a team of supporters monitoring abusive websites, the personal touch. In return, the journalists would sing praises online and celebrities would share the block list behind the scenes. It was a PR campaign. Was Zoe considering a book even back then? Wow. See, these people got fucked. And the problem is, they're so convinced that Gamergate's their enemy that they can't come forward. They're fucked. They're in a shitty situation. These people go on to praise Zoe and their experience with Khan. Remember that gag-worthy Wikipedia entry? This is likely how those sources exist for it, which is far different from the standard link to Tumblr that the less important victims would be given. So yeah, there we go. If you poke around on social media, you can find, like, honestly, I do feel bad for these people. Like, I'm not one of those people who, I'm really indifferent to, if somebody wants to be transgender, they can be transgender. Just don't be an asshole about it. And don't use it as an excuse to be an asshole. But it sucks, because, like, these people have been convinced that Gamergate is, like, the second coming of Hitler. So they have no one to turn to for help. Because the journalists aren't going to fucking help them. No, why this person's talking bad about their Zoe. We can't expose this lie that we've been continuously burning. If you poke around on social media, you can find plenty of stories like poor Andrea's in the image above. People desperately tweeting at the abandoned Con Twitter account or bitterly describing being ignored or brushed off. There was no whisked away to a safe house for vulnerable folks being doxxed. Maybe for the famous victims who were given the full PR experience, but not the 99%. Am I still recording? I am still recording. One trans woman who had been involved with the fight against Gamergate since 2014 had said she heard countless horror stories about Crash Override and what an incompetent shit show it was. Oh, yeah. All for nothing. Yep. Mm-hmm. That sucks. I'm giving these last 3 years of my life the Benoit treatment. Oh, fucking props to this girl. I like her. You will never, ever hear me talk about Gamergate on this site ever again, and you better fucking believe I'll never mention the name Zoe Quinn ever again. See, that sucks. Like, no, these people aren't going to get any justice. Zoe's going to laugh all the way to the bank, and unless this gets boosted. People have to boost this shit. I'm dead serious. It's got to be boosted. I'm still seeing people naively suggesting Crash Override to victims as recent as this week. The information you can find here may be useful for your situation, and I don't think anyone will really dispute that, as it is a lot of common sense info they compiled. But good luck getting what remains of the task force. If anyone is even still around to give you the private support network that all the fawning articles promised, unless maybe you're Brad Pitt. This chapter will look at the trigger warning. This chapter will look at the personal experiences of con members. Many were trans women and on the verge of homelessness and considered suicide after being used and thrown out like garbage by Zoe Quinn. Now, earlier this year, a trans woman named Chloe Segal, I wouldn't say we were good friends, but we spoke on multiple occasions. I was a good acquaintance with her. She committed suicide by lighting herself on fire. From what I read, she was on crutches when she walked to the park to light herself on fire. She was in a bad situation, and you know, it sucks that happened to her. She was, I mean, I'm not gonna say she wasn't tough to deal with. She was. I've heard all the stories. She was a very tough person to deal with after extended periods. Just based on what I've seen and what I've heard. Whenever we spoke, it was cordial. Everything was fine. However, during one of our conversations, this was like, I don't know how many years ago this was, Chloe did tell me she was good friends with Zoe. Now, I'm blocked by Zoe, but I get the feeling that Zoe maybe didn't do a whole lot to help Chloe with the money and the privilege that Zoe had. But that's just, a personal anecdote and, my thoughts on that sort of situation. But Chloe was one of these people that were constantly homeless, and obviously they went through with their suicide. I don't know if she was one of the people used and thrown out by Zoe, but it wouldn't surprise me any. After hearing Chloe speak highly of her and say, oh no, she's a very good friend of mine. In the years since the founding of Con, Zoe Quinn has severed ties with the majority of the chat group Con members, only staying friendly with Catherine Cross, Randy Mandy Harpoons Harper, and a few other well-known activists who were involved. While Quinn likely had no involvement, Harper would eventually add a large number of their former so-called friends to her anti-Gamergate, anti-harassment block list, which became a point of contention for the cast-out members of Con, especially since they helped Quinn and Harper spread the block list through various industries, which they were all now effectively black. Do you realize how fucking cunty that is? Randy Harper, I hope she fucking dies of a heroin overdose one of these days. Because that's fucking, I mean, I don't really like wishing death, but holy shit. These people help you, and they help you make this block list, and then you fucking use it on them? No fucking loyalty. That's so fucking scummy. And it's not even the case of them suddenly being racist or something. No, you just decided, nah, fuck these people. Nah, they'll be an inconvenience. Let's just blacklist them from everywhere. You fucking cunts. Man, if there is a hell, they're going to it. Throughout 2015 and 2016, you can trace the fracture of Con as Zoe Quinn stopped interacting with the folks from the chat one by one on Twitter. She even kicked them off her private Primate Twitter account. One of the first to be outcast was a trans woman, Regina, who was quoted and screen capped in the previous chapter. Was my mistake assuming... Oh, here we go, here we go. Not everybody could so easily disregard other people's problems as bullshit, so I guess enjoy that funny luxury. If I meant to say other people's problems, I would have said that. Was my mistake assuming when you talk about Crash Override that you're talking about helping people other than yourself? And then this fucking cunt, DB Scooper. No, your mistake was assuming bullshit meant other people's problems as clearly outlined above. Thank you for your highly valuable opinion. Oh, God, he's probably a rapist. I mean, I'm not saying he is. I don't want to slander him. But, you know, if a sexual assault allegation came out and DB Scooper was the culprit, I wouldn't be too surprised. Anyways, a military veteran with PTSD, hers is a sad tale that is unfortunately all too common for people, especially returning veterans. According to Regina, Quinn kicked her out of Con after learning about Regina's PTSD. Thankfully, Regina was not scared of Quinn and has provided a lot of information about what was really going on at Con. If I ever tweet Robin Williams, it means I have taken my own life and am no longer in pain. Thank you for all this love and support. Oh, that's fucked up. And remember that Zoe Quinn had me kicked out of our support group and ostracized me from my only supper network after discovering my PTSD. So, oh, I like Regina Bell. Unfortunately, I believe I'm blocked by her. Let's see. Am I blocked by her? Of course I am. Oh yeah, I relooked. Alright, back. Yeah. Y'all had to make my suffering into a fucking joke. You lured me into your chat room by lying about it being a support group so your friends could laugh at my suffering. You and your friends actively promised the support and help I needed to survive with every intention to laugh and... See? Oh, Zoe! Zoe Quinn promised vulnerable folks compensation and more for laboring at Con. They never saw a cent. At least three former Con members that I know of have come forward and said that Zoe promised them financial compensation or more for the hours and hours of work they were doing for her. Zoe has a history of preying on people with mental health conditions in order to financially sponge off their work. Regina's been the most vocal about this and has been calling out Quinn for profiting off their labor for years. Oh, is this another call out? Oh, it's so fucked up. Figum? What's FYGM mean? I'm gonna have to Google this. Oh, fuck you, got mine. Okay. Back. This was particularly... Alright. Secret Gamer Girl says that Quinn promised them safety, steady pay, housing, and psychiatric care. Promises Quinn obviously did not honor. To the chagrin of the desperate, destitute trans women who were doing work for her, with the promises keeping them hopeful that their lives would get better. This was particularly cruel of Quinn to have done to a bunch of trans women in poverty and at risk of houselessness. And another former con member, SF the Wolf, SF in the chat, corroborates that compensation was offered. All this came a huge toll to everyone's mental health and personal safety, which Quinn was quite aware of, generally keeping up everyone's spirits with constant promises of sharing absurd amounts of donations rolling in through Patreon, providing everyone with quality psychiatric care, safe housing for everyone who had been doxxed and was being subjected to extreme dangers like swatting, and becoming the focus of Breitbart hit pieces. Even promises of formally forming an organization that would give everyone full salaries and health coverage. Most of the people these promises were being made to were desperate, unemployed trans women to step away from homelessness, who had been rendered absolutely unemployable due to the attacks being delivered by Gamergate. Nobody other than Quinn. How were they rendered unemployable? Nobody other than Quinn ever saw a single cent. Secret Gamer Girl got bored of con and says that Quinn got bored of con and decided to shut it down in early 2016. Dissolving the chat room, seizing everyone's collective work, combating GD, and exposing Nazis. Getting an extension on then near-finished book for rewrites to remove everyone else's contributions. And checking out of the anti-abuse scene more or less entirely to work on a goofy FMV game. A goofy FMV game, might I add, that she never finished. It was supposed to come out last year. In 2017 of February. Okay. Dude. Okay, Zoe Quinn tricked about a dozen victims into running their PR campaign for free by billing it as volunteer work for a fake support group. Literally invented a fake support group out of thin air, invited a bunch of abuse victims, and then proceeded to milk them for free labor. This was touched upon in some of the screen caps in the section above, but Quinn had convinced Con that they should work on her book for her. If you remember, the book was delayed and had to switch publishers. According to Secret Gamer Girl, the delay was caused by Quinn having to remove all their contributions so that she didn't have to pay them. According to Regina, Con was always a, well, con. I knew it! I mean, we all did. And had been devised as a scheme to get free PR and labor by tricking abuse victims into thinking they had volunteered for a support group and could do some good for the world. These claims and others are backed up by yet another con insider who anonymously leaked an early draft copy of Zoe's book. Is this... Oh. The draft, which I guesstimate to have been from around 2015 based on one of the paragraphs, contains cringeworthy praising of the infant crash override network, but also Randy Harper's Online Abuse Prevention Institute. The latter praise seems to have been cut for the final product from what I call. The draft is actually a pretty interesting look into the behind-the-scenes mindscape of Quinn. It includes more cringe such as Joey misgendering and dead-naming an infamously harassed trans woman, Christine Weston Chandler. Wow. Has it actually... You know what? Christine won. She won. Alright? Sort of. At least until her mom dies. While trying to name drop and pretend that she cares about her, Zoe cares so much about her she couldn't even get... Zoe doesn't care about Christine Chan. Oh my god. Seriously? Let's be real. Alright? You know, Christine, give me whatever he or she wants. But Christian's not a good person. Anyways, here's Zoe's. I am a victim of lies. No, you're not. Oh, wait. Oh. Okay. I'm a victim of online abuse, but I'm a victim of lies. At one time, Zoe Quinn and Crash Override Network gave me a sense of agency and made me feel like I had a way to fight back against my harassers. When I worked together with her, Zoe promised to protect and support people like me, but eventually I realized how ruthless Zoe is and how deeply she exploited the vulnerable trans and queer people around her to achieve her goals. This has been eating at me for a very long time, but I can't remain silent any longer. It is time for me to speak the truth to power. Despite promises that Zoe made, we were exploited for thousands of hours of work we put in behind the scenes to get her exposure. The longer I was involved with Con, the more I realized that if anyone got in Zoe's way, they quickly found themselves alienated from their in-group and on the receiving end of even more harassment. It took me too long to figure this out. Figure out what a lot of people already knew. The chat room logs that were leaked from Con last year are real. They reflect on what I experienced. Little is done to help actual victims of internet abuse, depending on how much Zoe thinks that she can benefit from it. Most of the time, the chat room discussion was focused on attacking people that Zoe didn't like, including former allies that had earned Zoe's ire. Which brings me to why I'm writing this. Below, you will find an early draft of Zoe's book. Unlike the book Zoe is publishing this fall, this rough draft was mostly written by Zoe herself. The notes that Zoe has left to herself on each unfinished page ooze with cynicism and show how Zoe really feels about the half-truths and tall tales she weaves about herself. If you care about addressing actual issues of online harassment, please don't support this person or her group. While tons of folks have lifted her up as a paragon of good in the very real and very important fight against abuse, Zoe's actually an abuser and exploiter of vulnerable people. Con engaged in targeted harassment, attacks, and gaslit ex-members. We are 31 minutes in. I'm sorry. Just bear with me. Regina states that Con was not only engaged in targeted harassment under orders of Zoe Quinn and Lifshitz when she was still with them. When she was exiled, Con began attempting to harass her while Quinn sat by and did nothing. Alright, I'm sorry, I'm cleaning up my bars. Crash Override started discussing and tracking the groups he referred to as tankies a year or so ago, deciding it wasn't worth the candle. Several individuals expressed concern over the constantly harassing people, but Zoe and Alex wanted to focus on going after Chuck C. Johnson. They seemed to believe it would be more effective since he was more famous, called him their whale, and wanted their first head to be a big one. Oh, wow. I sincerely hope Zoe Quinn's movie makes lots of money. Last I checked, there are members of Crash Override homeless, penniless, and hungry. That group is hurting for decent support and training, too. Co-members have been wasting their time trying to smear me in DMs on Twitter. If you've been approached by a recognized figure in that clique trying to talk to you about me, you should probably question that behavior. This is why I'm incredibly quiet on Twitter about what I do at Crash. Spreading people's abuse is quite often not at all what they want. You sat idly by while members of Crash tried to smear me amongst my peers. Your respect for privacy is performative BS. Whew. Okay. Regina also says that Con stores personal info on victims who come to them and has released that info to harm people they don't like. You know what? Regina's alright. I'm sorry she's blocked me. Regina's alright. Apparently members of the Ally Zone crew don't understand the concept of a safe space, which is weird if they want to work with victims. Maybe Crash Override should put up a disclaimer. We will share your information with people on Twitter if we decide we don't like you. Rather big claim here. Got anything to verify? If Con's doing that, then people need to know. Eat shit, gamer, go fucker. I like Regina. Regina's cool. I've got nothing bad to say about Regina. Wait, what? You are the one apparently got doxxed by folks you trusted. I want to help you, and you throw out insults? Well, Regina, hate me all you want. I think you're alright. Secret Gamer Girl says that she became the subject of a bizarre gaslighting campaign after she earned Zoe's ire. This gaslighting resulted in multiple suicide attempts. Holy shit! I never trusted anyone with my real name. Wow. Wow. I contacted Quinn, Crash Override, for help, expressing that I was afraid for my family and frankly considering suicide as a means of protecting them. Quinn personally messaged me in response to the first conversation we had in months, explicitly denying me even any help in locking down my stuff and making some cryptic statement about not wanting to get involved. Nobody at con was vetted. A sexual predator likely got access to victims through con. Okay, that's a big one. That's a big one, and also not a surprise considering how many male feminists are fucking rapists. If I remember correctly, the first big scandal that rocked con was the outing of one of their founding members and chat room comrades as a sexual harasser. Unseen perfidy, Rob in the chat log, sexually harassed over 20 women, and those were just the victims that came forward. There's speculation that Rob may have used his position with Khan to obtain contact info of vulnerable women, which he then sexually harassed. Rob would use threats of suicide and self-harm to try and coerce the women. Khan, Zoe's response... Oh my god, hang on. I need to see these. Oh, Izzy! Word? Oh, wow, really? Izzy! You fucking piece of shit. Oh, this is my jam. Oh, Izzy, you dumb motherfucker. You're getting what you deserve. I wonder how they repeatedly mentioned self-harm suicide when I refused to Skype or talk to him. This is manipulative, abusive garbage. Con, Zoe's response was to deny that Rob had anything to do with them, despite that clearly not being the case. The logs proving he was complicit with Con would be leaked later in that month. When another chat Con alumni called Izzy Galvez was caught in a sting operation trying to dox a woman. Oh, hey. Yeah. Yep, there's Robomom. Con once again denied he had anything to do with them. Galvez was used for PR, with Con claiming they had stopped a SWAT attempt against him somehow. Remember, nearly everyone at Con was just some random person who caught Zoe's eye during the height of Gamergate. There's likely no training, no screening, nothing that an organization like that should have. She may not have even known who they really were. Wait, privately suggest... Oh, right. Just send me back to that again. Zoe Quinn put wolves in sheep's clothing, and women may have been sexually harassed because of it. Zoe Quinn emotionally manipulated the folks she had convinced to become Con, told them she trusted them, she loved them. This is really not surprising at all. Whether it was malicious intent or not, Zoe knew just what to say to convince a bunch of abuse victims to get wrapped around her finger. See? Okay, that's how I know that Aaron was the victim. Like, this thing here, this is emotional abuse. She's emotionally abusing these people. With all this, the fact that they still believe Zoe got abused and not Aaron, that's fucking baffling. That they need help. They need help, and they need to get the fuck out of that cult. It's become a cult at this point. I've seen some say they thought she was their best friend, but she twisted the night. Oh. Well, there we go. I guess that's what Chloe did. I guess that's what Zoe did to Chloe. Mystery solved. But she twisted the knife into their backs all the same. Quinn was also engaged in extreme emotional manipulation with everyone in the group. We exchanged private messages almost every day where I was told Quinn trusted me more than anyone, would always have my back, would support me in dealing with... Oh, Quinn's the cuntiest of cunts. With my increasingly abusive home life, and asking me to take custody of a cat at a point where stalkers were necessitating a move across the country she might not be able to come along for. Years later, I learned she had similar conversations with everyone else present, with the phrase, "I love you," as a specific common thread, and platitude. This is the same shit she did with Aaron! According to Secret Gamer Girl, dozens of her friends were driven into suicide attempts thanks to Zoe. I'm absolutely done defending someone who took my career, my support, and my safety from me, and driven dozens of friends to suicide attempts, and I am done with everyone else who knew all about this and keeps pretending otherwise. Epilogue. Oh, this is October. Oh, coincidentally. Oh, you know what? Maybe this video will go up first, because October of 2017 is where the video about women in animation starts. That's pretty cool. It's like everything's connected. It's like poetry. It rhymes. Hopefully it works. This week, Zoe Quinn's retweeted a tweet from Randy Harper, which showed herself and Quinn playing Overwatch together. I saw some of the reactions to this unfolding in real time. It was heartbreaking. So many of Zoe's former friends, at least, were mildly content in the thought that Zoe had thrown Harper out into the cold just like them, especially with Harper's blacklisting of them all. But they were wrong. They were livid. The Dream Team. Or no, I'm sorry, that's not Randy. The Dream Team was Brent Winch and Rebecca Watson. I've seen so many people who were snubbed by Crash Override, and Zoe Quinn come forward to tell their stories, to bond with and support each other. Secret Gamer Girl planned to take her story to the grave, but seeing her friends be hurt by Zoe yet again let her finally tell her side of the years of manipulation and abuse she had endured at the hands of Zoe Quinn. Oh, jeez. Oh, that's the Storify. This is why I've never felt safe using Crash Override. Zoe Quinn's friends with the influential people that abuse and destroy others. There you go. Crash Override. Other victims have been able to share their frustrations with Crash Override. So, Zoe is everything that I knew she was, that a lot of people knew she was. It's not, this isn't about feminism or anything. She's using feminism as her, like, she's weaponizing it so that she can continue to be an emotionally abusive, cocksucking bitch. Crash Override's effectively dead. Done. Finished. Kaput. Most of the volunteers have been cast aside by Zoe. Her promise is to pay them as empty as their... Dude, if I had been one of these volunteers, I would not shut up about this. Her promise is to pay them as empty as their old Skype chat room, where it all began. Crash Override Network Crisis Helpline has been officially dead since December 2016. Despite promises that they would be working fiercely to keep the downtime as short as possible, they didn't even bother announcing this on Con's social media. That's all lying, dusty, and dormant as well. Crash Override Network Twitter account has been abandoned. Its last activity in April 2016, well over a year ago. Their Facebook group was also left to rot with no updates since March 2016. Their subreddit is also dead, and whomever was running it doesn't even use Reddit with that account anymore. Last but not least, their Tumblr is also abandoned with their last post of March 2016. Zoe got what she wanted at a con a long time ago, as evidenced by it, and by extension the victims hoping to be helped by it, being abandoned. And the book it existed to give PR to, and a namesake for it, is finally out. A family friend and her own mother both admitted Zoe lied about her childhood in the book. Let's check these. That's Zoe Quinn's mother, and that's a friend. You are a master. Include me in the screen cap. Holy shit. Alright. Which makes everything else suspect and matches with pretty much every other horror story you hear from people who have personally dealt with Zoe Quinn and her endless lies and false promises. Crash Override Network was a con at worst. At best, it was a toy for Zoe to play around with and milk for attention until she got bored with it. Please stop telling people to give her sensitive information to an organization that was inept in its heyday and even downright malicious, let alone an organization whose founders clearly got bored of and left it to rot. Link to their guides if you must. After all, a small army of trans women put their hearts and souls into compiling the info for Zoe. But please stop giving people false hope that Zoe is going to help them and give them more than just a link to a Tumblr or PDF file. Thank you for your time, and a big thank you to all former Crash Override members who have been brave enough to get their stories out there and let us know the sad truth. So there you go. There you go, DC. That's the bitch you're hiring. There you go, Robbie Rodriguez. Go show your asshole to her. Well, you know what? She is an asshole. So you two can be assholes together and show your assholes to each other. You know, that's the person you're backing. That's the person game journalists are backing. And now she's coming and asking all her friends, I mean, what she has left. Hey guys, hey Gamergate, you know, hey my friends, we gotta come over and fight Comicsgate. Yeah. Well, I am vowing right now, I'm not gonna let that happen. I'm gonna try and get this signal boosted. Everyone that watches this, and anyone that gets this, fucking tweet it out. Tweet it. Make sure this does not get covered up. I've reblogged it on my Tumblr. I'm sorry, I have a Tumblr. I like the art. I like art tutorials. I have it reblogged. Someone archive it. Maybe I'll archive it. This has to get out. She cannot get away with this anymore. She absolutely cannot get away with this anymore.